Hey, welcome to Integrated Preparedness. How are you all today? I want to talk today about why many preppers will fail. Why many are failing right now, to be honest. And I mean, when it comes to the big one, failure means dying, right? So, why a lot of preppers aren't gonna make it, aren't making it now. Wind's kicking up, so if you hear the wind, that's it. If the camera blows over, I'll pick you back up. Kelly just called me and told me we're in for some crazy weather. This hour texted me this afternoon. I haven't checked the weather yet today, so I'll try to get all my outside work done before then. A couple of things. Hondo Bob over on the Patreon channel told me that, hey, the date for the registration for the Integrative Preparedness Stonemont gathering this year is misprint. It says June 13th instead of July 13th, so we'll get that fixed. And it is July 13th. July 13th. It's a Saturday. It's going to be on the Kansas side of the Kansas City area, real nice area. Anybody who's interested in coming to that, love to have you. It's going to be a great time. And it doesn't cost anything except the gas you're going to spend to get here and whatever it takes for you and whoever comes with you. Everybody's invited. In order to get the information, you need to come to the Patreon site. That's just $1 a month. I mean, if you're coming to the gathering, $1 a month. But that's kind of it's the gateway. I keep it so that I just don't put all the information out to the whole world, right? So love to have you on that, and you can get more information there on Patreon and do the registration page. We just kind of want to know what's going on. I realized when I mentioned Kelly, some of you might be interested to hear that. I know a lot of you have asked, well, how come we can't see Kelly? Maybe she's imaginary, my imaginary wife. No. She and I are discussing doing a new channel together. Not going to be a preparedness channel. It might, almost everything positive can be directed toward preparing, and certainly this can too. But it's going to be a carnivore channel, and she's the one that got me on carnivore. And I mean, it fixed so many things on my. Some of you guys might remember my buddy Mark, my main guy, and he has lost 57 pounds following the basic carnivore diet. It's important that you keep yourself that you get yourself in shape if you've allowed yourself to get out, as I did, and then keep yourself in shape, because one of your greatest preps is your health and your physicality. So we'll be seeing that. I'm looking forward to that. I really am. She knows a lot more about it than I do, and if we get that done, I'll let you all know. Hey, leave comments on here. By the way, she's always kind of been hesitant. She's never wanted to be on these videos, but leave comments of saying, "Hey, Kelly, we wanna hear from you. We want to see you," and I'll read them to you. So why are so many preppers gonna fail? In my opinion, and my opinion's pretty good because I've been at this for 50 years, and I've seen a lot of people who are ostensibly involved in preparedness. Now, I say ostensibly because a lot of them think they are, and they're not really, and so that's what I want to address. And of course, the wages, as the Bible says, the wages of sin is death. Well, the wages of unpreparedness in a bad situation is death. I don't want anybody to die, so let's talk about how not to let that happen. Most of you are probably familiar with Andrew Tate, right? Yeah, I had heard the name, but until about 3 or 4 days ago, I knew absolutely nothing about him. I knew that he was supposed to be controversial. I didn't know why. I don't keep up on the culture, to be honest. I've never really kept up on the culture, which is always, like I said, I never saw Blazing Saddles. I never saw all those movies that everybody, because they didn't interest me. My own life has been interesting enough for me, and that's what I kind of concentrated on. Well, I happened to see a video several days ago, and it popped up, and I was interested because Michael Franzese, if you're familiar with Michael, that is an interest of mine. And he was, it said he was interviewing Andrew Tate. And I said, well, now that's interesting. Well, if Tate is the wacko that everybody makes him out to be, why would Michael Franzese be interviewing him? So I watched a little bit. Excuse me, I got to take a sip. So I watched him. Interesting guy. Interesting guy. Very interesting guy. I agree with a lot of what he says. And I still don't know what the controversy is, but people say that I say controversial things. Maybe that's why I don't recognize the controversy in what he says. Kind of like Harrison Butker. I agree with everything he said. But he said one thing that really, really stuck out. And it was, he said, I guess he's got some kind of training program. He calls it a university. No, he doesn't call it a university. I don't know what he calls it. It's a training program. And he said that they recognized, identified 3 reasons that most people stay broke or don't get rich. One of the 2. I don't care. It doesn't matter. Either they were too stupid, they were too lazy, or they were too arrogant. And so I said, well, okay, that kind of, I immediately saw how that kind of related to when I used to teach martial arts. So he went on to explain, he said they found that about 5%, only 5% of the people who signed up to, in this program were actually too stupid to do it. Because it's some basic concepts. When you're talking about money, and this is what a lot of people just don't understand. Every time I do something about money, I get all sorts of people making comments that are, well, I'll try not to be unkind. It's just not complicated. It's just not complicated. And people try to overcomplicate it, and they get themselves in trouble. So it doesn't take a brilliant person to make money. Okay, and that's what he's saying. Only 5% were too stupid. He says about 20 to 25% were just too lazy. And that left the remaining, what are we up to? 70% maybe? 70%, and these are the ones who failed. Okay, not of everybody that went through it. These are the reasons that they failed. And he said the others were too arrogant. They didn't feel like they could be told anything. And no matter that they were there with somebody who had done it much better than they themselves had done it, they weren't going to listen. I saw that in martial arts. When you teach martial arts, you get, it was kind of like preparedness. You get so many people, so many different people coming, wanting to learn, or ostensibly, they say they want to learn. And they'll come in, and a lot of them are just a total waste of your time, to be honest. They don't want to learn. They want to be a part of it. They want to be a part of a class. They I think they see themselves in kind of a movie. They come in and they see themselves doing the, whether it's the sparring or the routines or the exercises or whatever. And they want to do that, but they see themselves as the central character of their own movie. Okay, and so they're not there. They're not receptive. They're not coachable. They're not receptive to what you as an instructor are going to pass on. And this is why the vast majority of people fail. I've told you before. I only gave 1 black belt. I don't give anything. I only awarded 1 black belt in all the years that I taught. Because, to be honest, most people just don't have it. Everything that it should take to be a black belt. And so what I saw there, a lot of people would come in, and it's the same with if I give seminars. You'd have those few who were paying attention, really paying attention, listening, picking up, understanding, and then trying to apply what you had to teach. And then you'd have others who you could tell were only passively listening. They were just kind of waiting to get through so that they could go out and do stuff, right? And also, there were always those, and there were always a good percentage. Now, they didn't last with me. I got rid of them. Now, if I was given a one-day seminar, you can't get rid of them, but there were always those, in the back who you saw were trying to teach other people. They were trying to share their amazing knowledge, and the difference is that the ones who thought they had amazing knowledge they did not have amazing knowledge. Let's just say that to be kind. The ones who were listening were the ones who really wanted to learn. And many of them were the more experienced people. Because experience shows you that you don't know everything. And experience also gives you a certain maturity that you don't have to come into a situation and trying to make yourself, feel important or look important to others by saying, well, here, let me show you something. A perfect example was I was taking a pancreation team to a world championship one time. And sometime before it, I had introduced to them, a large group, a certain technique. It was kind of a development on a tactic/technique that I had been introduced to by a friend, who had been introduced to it by a friend, a mutual friend, who then I added something to it. And I had them practice this in, as they were getting ready for the World Championships. And we took the team up there. Excuse me just a second. And a lot of them did not employ this tactic or technique. Now, see, right now, somebody is the one who won't learn is probably typing, well, maybe they didn't have the opportunity. Well, see, that's kind of interesting. The person who wasn't there trying to, explain to the person who was there what the problem might have been. We see this so much in preparedness, and I hope it's not. I know it's not you, but I'm be careful of this. The ones who did not find a way to include that, some of them were successful, some of them won, some of them didn't. But they went back. They did not use the thing that they had been most recently taught and tried to employ. The ones who did use it were all successful because nobody had seen anything like that. Yeah, I'm not going to tell you what it was. Nobody was ready for it. Everybody who used it was successful, and one of them won the world championship. And did you hear me say she? That's right. This is another thing I'll tell you, that women are so much more coachable than most men. Martial arts particularly, because guys come onto it with this idea, because they're a guy, they must know all about fighting and stuff. The lower level ones are resistant to instruction. The upper level ones are open to instruction. I told a story. I was years ago down at, I could use a whole number of get-togethers to explain this, but I'll use this one because many people will know the names involved. I was at a thing, 20-some years ago down in Dallas. It was called the Gathering of, that's not what it was. It was the Living Legends. Get together, and it was a combination. A lot of the old guys. It was put on by Alan Steen, and who was June Ree's first real student who developed all those Texas guys down there. And everybody who was anybody in the martial arts was there. Jim Harrison, Bill Wallace, Joe Louis, people that you've never heard of, but you would have heard of it. Chuck Norris came by the next night. But I was standing, we were all standing at a bar at the hotel where it was going on, and a bunch of us talking about something. Joe Louis was there, Bill Wallace was there, Jim Harrison was there, and it was the most respectful, quietest conversation you could imagine. You know what there wasn't among any of those people? I mean, any of the top level people. Nobody was trying to make points. Nobody was trying to correct anybody. Nobody was trying to one-up anybody. When somebody was talking and expressing an opinion, you know what everybody else was doing? Listening. You know, because anybody who's worth a darn knows they don't know it all. And we can always learn something. None of us are going to live long enough to learn it all. But when you get the lower down the totem pole you get, the more people think they know it all. And that inhibits them. And what I was starting to say, women are in many cases much more trainable, coachable than men because they don't think they know it all. Gee, should I make a t-shirt that says, train like a woman? No. And they're also much easier in many cases to teach firearms to. I've had the last 3 small classes. I don't do big classes. I do private classes in basic gun handling that I've had. I have had a person flag me in each one of those classes. Guess how many of them were women? None. Why? Because when I went through the safety speech, they listened. And not a one, I mean, they were maniacs about keeping that muzzle down range. Every one of those people that flagged me was a guy. But you know why? Because they weren't really listening. They were, when I told them to pick up their weapons, I'd already gone through everything, right? And I said, pick up the weapon. There was a pistol right in front of each one. Pick up your weapon. And the women who were fairly new to it, you know, they were very, very attentive about keeping that muzzle down there. The guys, once they picked up that gun, they were like, oh, you know. And each one of those, at least one of them, flagged me. And you know what? When I mentioned it to them, you know what every one of them said? You'll love this. They said, no, I didn't. Not teachable. They know it all. They knew it all. Didn't know squat about it, but they thought they did. That's my dog over there wants a pet. They thought they did. And so they will never learn. The reason that I'm talking about this is because we see this too often in the preparedness world. That, and you know, on the few occasions that I've gone to preparedness groups, get-togethers, I saw this. I saw a bunch of overweight, out of shape, know-it-alls sitting around trying to one-up each other on the most basic things. And, you know, first off, those people will never learn. And then because of this arrogance that they exude, nobody will take the trouble to teach them because they know that their efforts will be wasted. You know, so when I heard what's his name? Andrew Tate. When I heard Tate say that, I said, that is exactly right. That is exactly right. Arrogance. The idea that you know more than you actually do is what keeps most people from learning, and is what will bring their downfall in the end. I'm getting ready, as I mentioned the other day, I just finished the 7th book. I don't have my books out here. For those of you who may not know, I wrote the Stonemont series. You can find them on Amazon or through our website, stonemont.us. And I just finished the 7th book. Should I tell you the title of it? I've been teasing that for a little bit. Okay, I will. On Wings Like Eagles. That's number 7. On Wings Like Eagles. So I got done with that, and it's going through editing now. And but I've already started 2 other books, actually. One of which is also a preparedness, and it might or might not be a series. I don't know if it's going to be a standalone book or end up being a series. Like, when I wrote the reversion, I never thought it'd be a series. I thought it was going to be a book, and it turned out now it's been 7 books. But I don't know whether it's going to be, but I'm looking forward to it, because the Stonemont series, I took it from the position of a prepared family. As those of you who have read them know, a prepared family who, as a result of their preparedness, was able to continue living well and help other people, and then redevelop communities, societies such as that. But it didn't allow me to teach many of the lessons that I would really like to. And the longer that I've been at this, and the more people that I see who say they're involved in preparedness and think that they know all about it, the more I'm just astounded. Well, what this one's going to be about, it's going to be about a collapse, and what kind of collapse you'll have to wait and see. But it's going to be about normal people, and it's still going to hinge around a prepared family, but it's going to be a suburban setting. It's going to start there, let me put it that way. It's going to start there, and then it's going to progress. It's going to be the advice that I would exactly give anybody who lives in a city or suburbs about how they should be prepared, and then how they should survive. But I'm going to be able to put in all the personalities that are going to cause problems during a collapse, and how to handle them. And it's going to be fun. I think I'm going to, because I didn't really put a lot of the problem people. I did put problem people in the Stonemont series, but I showed how to handle them once you're in that situation. But this is going to allow me to develop the characters and show what those problem people are like. Some of whom occasionally leave comments here. Not you. By the way, I didn't welcome all the new people. I said yesterday we've had almost like 6,000 new people join up, subscribe in the last couple of months. It's great to have you. Great to have you here. So I'm gonna leave it at that. Realize that is probably the reason that most people are going to fail. Preppers or not, arrogance, the idea that they know more than they do. Some think they know it all. I see that from all the people that try to come on here and add to what I say or correct what I say and things like that. And those people are going to have a problem. So I'm sure that doesn't apply to you, but keep that in mind. You're great. There are so many things that can help or hinder you in life. But especially with preparedness, and the willingness, the desire to learn is right up there at the top of things that will help. And the belief that you know it all, or more than you actually do, and that's the case. Most people think they know more than they do, is probably one of the biggest hindrances for them. Okay, the wind is kicking up. I better get busy on this outside work. I have more things to plant. I have some trees to trim. I have some mulch to lay out. I have a lot of things to do. I've got some books to sign and ship out. I'll wait until the weather starts coming to do that. That's inside work. And I'm going to get at it. So make an audit, an internal audit of yourself. And like I said, I'm sure that most of this does not apply to you, but you might see whether it applies to those around you. Okay, you have somebody in your group that thinks they know it all. That person's a problem person. Be careful. Okay, so you all have a good day. Remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.